All right. So it is vlog 32.5 because this is an addendum to the previous vlog about telling the people who keep publishing and pushing these stories about that are based in the BPS model, basically to go fuck themselves. So this is like an extra go fuck yourself, right? And especially to all the defenders of it and all the people who are like indignant because they recovered. You know what? I don't give a shit that you recovered. Fuck you. I don't care. I am not in any sort of like gracious mood. And on behalf of all the people who are severe or very severe or even just moderate, yeah, suck a dick. Maybe I'm not going to speak for all of them. I would say about 80% of them would tell you to like suck their assholes and dicks and stuff like that, and to get hit by a dump truck and to bleed out on the street and stuff like that. I don't know for sure. I don't know for certain. I'm just, but that's just how I feel, right? And that, I guess that's how we're going now. We're not going by facts, or we're not going by scientific data or any sort of metrics that could be measured. We're just going by feelings now. So I guess that's how the way the world works. The world operates on feelings. You know, Hegel actually wrote something about that. To that extent, but we're not going to go into that. Anyways, so this vlog is the BPS model, and still go fuck yourselves. Anyways, let's dive into it because I've taken up enough time. So, what is the BPS model? Well, the BPS model, according to Dr. Keith Garrity, he says the BPS model rhetoric may be partly responsible for influencing the way in which doctors and health professionals perceive the illness, not as a serious physical or organic disease, i.e., a biomedical model, but as a psychosomatic syndrome, i.e., a biopsychosocial model. These two models offer very contrasting ideas about what causes MECFS and what generates symptoms. The BPS model posits that symptoms are consequences of patients' actions and thoughts, whereas the biomedical model asserts that symptoms are a direct result of biological dysfunction, often triggered by infection. The two models, and this is important, so listen up, the two models are incongruent. Get a fucking dictionary. You know what incongruent means? It means they don't match. And and hamper progress in understanding the illness and treatment development. Oh, so I think that is a pretty good explanation of it and why it sucks, right? So he kind of goes on to say that MECFS patients consistently report problems with accessing good quality medical care and support. Many recount distressing encounters with doctors. Despite such consistent anecdotal reports, there has been little research into harms and distress in MECFS. And so one of them is the BPS model, and these people who keep sharing their recovery stories and saying like, how dare you be dismissive of this thing that I did, or I think that I did, that got me well again. Well, what you know what the funny thing is what you find out is that um a couple of things. You either find out that they were sick for a very short period of time. You find out that they did other interventions, of course, right? But they, of course, don't, for some reason, they don't lean into those. And the third thing is, we have no fucking way of verifying any of this like you would normally do in science, right? So you don't have to go with um, the falsifiability, like everything has to be falsifiable, but you should come with some receipts and some standardization of, okay, how did you get from point A to point B to point C, D, E, all the way to Z, etc. In terms of your recovery process, it cannot just be as linear or even non-linear as I did these things and I got my nervous system under control and I retrained my brain to stop thinking bad thoughts about my symptoms and I overcame my fear about my symptoms and I got into a better space and I went on a wellness retreat, and it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or in the case of Miranda Hart, I got married or whatever the case may be with her bullshit. No, none of this has anything to do with anything. All right. Because then you'd have to explain the opposite. You would have to explain why people who got married didn't recover. You'd have to explain why people who have tried all these things didn't work. spent tens of thousands of dollars on different protocols and different bullshit mind body things and different BPS models of all varying types of gray market area scams, right? Your garden variety things like fucking brain retraining or nervous system retraining, or delving into your trauma stuff, or the Gupta symptom, the lightning process, whatever the fuck it is, right? They're all scams. It's all bullshit. All right. Explain to me why 99.99999% of these people don't recover. Why did you recover? All right. It's a good question. But now at this point, I don't give a fuck. And I hope he gets sick again, actually. Right. So, like, I have to read stuff like this shit on fucking Twitter, like these fucking people who are just absolutely fucking like pearl clutching like cunts. And it's no, and I mean that in the absolute brutish sense of the matter, not like the misogynist manner. Uh, but either way, they're cunts. So this person says, I am utterly sick of the trolling of anyone who writes about anything not biomedical that helped them with ME. It's cruel plus absurd. It's not cruel or absurd. What's cruel or absurd is that you keep perpetuating the fucking BPS model, and you keep perpetuating the stereotypes and the what Garrity said was that the incongruent model that you keep pimping that is not compatible with the biomedical model, right? That is preventing people from getting proper care, people from getting proper access to care, people from getting better research, etc., which she'll talk about, right? If you're reading about lovely, is that her name, Miranda Hart? Yeah, Miranda Hart. Today / the Guardian piece, please know there are a lot of us helped by such things. Yeah, but the thing is, you can't prove it, so I don't give a shit. They are not a cure-all. They're not a cure. A better phrase is they're not a cure at all. Plus, they are not easy either, but they can be very helpful. Okay. That doesn't mean we don't get why people are wary. I think it does mean that you don't get that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this backlash, would you? You wouldn't even have to write this stuff. People would just be like, "Oh, I get it." No, okay. You wouldn't have to write or pen any of this stupid shit, right? Many of us are well educated about badly taught practices. Apparently not. Plus, the history of medical dismisses this when it comes to ME. Apparently not. It's awful. More research is needed. Okay, then stop pimping the BPS model. But do you know what made me or my ME much worse, making me housebound when I had long COVID for a year? The ME community on Twitter trolling me when I said something about the BPS model, writing horrific things to me over and over, sending me into the worst crash of my illness. I don't give a shit. How about that? I don't give a fuck. People getting angry at you online, then log the fuck off. It's like people being like, I didn't like what I saw on television. Change the fucking channel, lady. How about that? You're a fucking adult. Oh, and you had long COVID for a year? I don't give a shit. That's well within the time frame of being able to just recover naturally, actually, right? It is, in fact, possible to think that doctors need to be better trained, more medical research is needed, and that a pot plant finding a renewed sense of hope and purpose alleviating stress might help, No, I don't know, because Dr. Garrity said they're incongruent. That is the entire fucking point. What doesn't she fucking get about it? They are not congruent. They don't mesh. They're different models. Oil and fucking water. I don't know how many things I can list that don't go together. Okay? This isn't fucking medical misogyny here I'm talking about here. All right? I'm not a fucking bigot. Like, oh no, I just don't like the look of the shifty fucking BPS model. It's like, no, it doesn't work. All right? So stop trying to sell it and stop trying to pimp it and stop being so self-righteous in your fucking you recovered. Just why can't you just be happy and lucky and then go the fuck away now? How about that? All right. Anyways, that's, that's all I really have to say. And look, I kept it under 10 minutes again. What a fucking mensch I am. Happy Yom Kippur, everyone.